Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Oh, and you're there already. Wonderful. This is going to be an interesting chat, I hope, actually, with Anita, the Blossom Living with POI. And what a lovely name for actually something that is quite a distressing condition to find out about when you're so young. And here she comes. So let us have a. Hopefully, she will pop up miraculously in a second. Waiting, 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 connecting. And hello, how are you?
Hi,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Brilliant, brilliant.
Perfect, perfect.
Yeah, at least I remembered my
How are you?
headphones tonight, which means that if a
That's
dog
fine.
barks, at least I can go like this and vaguely cover it up. Yeah, yeah. So thanks for
Brilliant.
joining me. That's really kind of
No
you.
problem.
Excellent.
That's no
So
problem at all.
we are talking POI and your particular journey with it, which is a kind of unusual sort of one, isn't it? Premature ovarian insufficiency at the age of 15, but not being diagnosed until you were 19. So
Yeah.
what happened? What happened when you were such a young teenager?
Well, at the age of 19, no, at the age of 15, I had my first menstrual period. And the period only lasted for like a few days and then it stopped. So that was actually my first time having a period, and I didn't really know what to expect. So when the period stopped at the age of 15, I didn't get any other period after that.
So you
So
just had one.
I only had one, yeah, just for like a
Wow.
few days. I think it was only like 3 to 5 days, just for a week, and then it stopped, and then that was it. So, and during that time, I remember actually speaking to a family member that I was like, okay, I just had this for the first time. What's going on? And then they explained to me, you're supposed to have a period, it's normal and everything, and you're supposed to have it every month. So the next month, I didn't get any period. The following month, there was nothing. And I went back and she said to me that it's okay not to worry about it, that it is normal, that some people can get it later on at the age of 25. I was like, okay, that's perfect. That's okay. So I was still in secondary school at that time. So I kind of just went about my life with secondary school and trying to, do the best that I can in school. And 15, 16, 17, I didn't have any period for like almost 3.5 years, nearly 4 years. I had no period at all.
Wow.
And yeah, and
And during this period of time, I mean, when you
yeah.
said you asked a family member, I mean, did your mum or anybody kind of think, that's kind of unusual?
With me, the way I grew up, I didn't grow up with my mother, my mom. I grew up with a family member, so they were more like they were family to me anyway. But the way I grew up, the kind of relationship that was there as well, maybe that might probably have some kind of effect with it. But I was young, and this was an adult telling me that it's okay not to worry. So for me, of course, an adult knows better. So I'm just gonna go what an adult has to say. So during that time, not it didn't really come up after that. So nothing came up after that during that time frame. So and I didn't really worry about it. So growing up, I didn't have much friends either. So I wasn't really like kind of a group kind of person to kind of discuss the kind of those kind of things with. And I don't think it was something that was really talked about as well, either in groups or like that. So it wasn't really something that I brought up either way. So it was
You grew up
when
in your high school in Ireland, yeah?
in Ireland, yeah, I
Yeah.
grew up in high school in Ireland. Yeah, I did. So when I started making friends, and the very first person I made friend with, we're best friend of up to today. She's more like a sister to me now. So when I met her for the first time, I don't really remember how the conversation started. We just started chatting and everything. And I was like, oh no, I don't get periods. I was like, what? You don't get periods? I was like, yeah, the last time I got it was 15. I haven't gotten anything since then. And she's like, what? I was like, yeah, I don't get periods. She's like, that's not right. You need to get that checked. I was like, oh no, I was told that it's fine. I don't have to worry about it. She's like, no. So she went over to a family member, a cousin, and she talked to her cousin. Cousin was like, no, that's not right. And when I started getting closer to them, and they told me, I was like, Anita, you need to go get yourself checked. I know you were told that it's okay, but you haven't gotten period for nearly 4 years, so you need to go get yourself checked. So that's when I booked an appointment with the GP, and I was seen by the GP. So I explained everything to the GP then. I told him that I've not had period for almost 4 years, and the GP asked me some question in regards to the last time I had a period, how was the flow of the period, and
You would have had
any
difficulty
symptoms.
remembering after all that period of
It
time, I would
was
have thought.
difficult, yeah. Even up to now, it's really difficult because I really had to go through a lot of documents to kind of remember what happened then at that age. So one of the things I remember saying to the GP was because like I was always having migraines and pelvic pain. So that was two things I was mainly highlighted on one of my documents. So after the blood test, the GP did some blood tests. At this time, I didn't really understand what was going on, but I knew that the GP was just doing something to determine exactly why I wasn't having any periods. So the GP did some blood tests, and the blood test came back, and the GP referred me to a gyno. So I had to then wait for an appointment with the gyno. So I eventually got an appointment with the gyno. I went in. The first time I went in, I was not really expecting anything to happen the very first day. So they actually did some physical exam on the first day. So they asked me about my family history just to determine like, is there anybody in the family who does not get any periods? And they asked me about my last period as well. They asked me about my sexuality and everything like that, just to kind of determine what was going on. And they did some blood tests, but it wasn't really explained to me what blood tests were being done, the reason why they were doing blood tests and anything like that. So I was kind of just out of the loop. I really did not understand what was going on. So they did a lot of things along the way. Then a few months later, I was called in, and I remember getting to the hospital, and there were like 3 to 4 people in the room. And instantly in my mind, I was like, yeah, something's definitely wrong.
Yeah, it's a little
Something's wrong.
intimidating, isn't it?
It doesn't look like good news. So I went in, and they told me, Anisha, you have something called premature ovarian failure. So it was premature ovarian failure. And I was just there like, what? So what was said to me is that premature ovarian failure, that you cannot have kids. So, and that was a lot. That was like the main thing that was going through my head. You can't have kids, you can't have kids, you can't have kids. And they told me that I have to go on HRT. So a lot was not really explained to me what POF was. And, and I remember they told me that the cause of the condition was idiopathic, meaning unknown. So they don't know the reason why I have POI. So that was really all that was said to me. And then a few weeks later, I was put on HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy.
So let me take you back a little while.
Yeah.
So, all right. One thing I guess about it, when I went to school,
Yeah.
about the only, and so this, way back in the dark ages, virtually before they had electricity, one of the few sorts of things that I don't think we talked about anything really when it came to women's body. I think all of our biology lessons were, about how cells functioned. But you would have assumed that because you being so young, that they would have had much better education about menstrual cycles and sex education and how to get pregnant and all of that kind of stuff. But they didn't have that?
No, not that. In my secondary school that I went to, I wouldn't say it was the best secondary school, so I really did not learn much about that. Like, I didn't even know, to be honest. I had no idea about even menstrual periods and everything, that you're supposed to have them at a certain age. So when I got my first period at 15, I was a bit like, oh, what's going on? Why am I bleeding? So I had to get it explained to me the first time I got it, that it's normal, you're supposed to do it. But growing up wasn't really something that was taught, that I really knew about, about the reproductive system, how it works. You're supposed to have, no, it wasn't really something that I was taught as well. So I think that kind of played a role as well. And
yeah, because especially, if you're not getting it at home, at least, and you really do sort of rely on your education system then, really, isn't it, to at least give you basic facts about how your body works, and especially for teenage girls about, how you get pregnant, if nothing else.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's like I said before already, I think like the way I grew up as well played a role. For everybody is completely different, but for the way I grew up is where definitely played a role as well. And the fact is the family member I was actually living with then is the the partner she was married to was actually a doctor as well too. So
Wow.
that actually, yeah, so that in a way, when I it surprises that, maybe that's what one of the reasons I was like, okay, this is a someone that comes from a medical background, and the person is an adult, so they know much better than I do. So if they say it's okay, and I don't really know much, so that's fine. So that's kind of the reason. It wasn't really something that was talked about in school. I'm sure if there was a conversation about it in school, I probably would have spoken up, and maybe then someone probably would have been able to advise me sooner
Mm.
than the age of 18 going on 19. But it wasn't something that was talked about in groups or anything like that, or even in school. Maybe it was talked about, but I didn't really pay that much attention because of my lack of concentration, which is one of the side effect, one of the symptoms of POI. So so that as well definitely played a huge part in it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and so that's
yes,
I can see the other thing I was going to ask you then. So during that period of time, I mean, okay, teenagers can be pretty horrible and moody,
yeah.
but yeah, did you find what sort of symptoms did you have?
Uh, For me, I was really moody. I was a moody child, but I didn't really think it was related to POI. There was a lot of symptoms that I experienced, but I did not know they were related to POI. The two major things that stood out was the pelvic pain and the constant headache, which I know those two are, they are linked to POI. Then over the years, I just started to learn more about POI. There are like hot flashes, night sweat, lack of concentration, brain fog. I've always had issues with my with my memory right from a very young age, and I actually made the list: hot flashes, night sweats, anxiety, mood swing, brain fog, body and joint body acheness, feeling very fatigued. Like, when you're not tired, you're constantly very tired,
Mm.
and sleeping difficulties. And then over the years, I've noticed like vagina dryness as well too. And what else do I have? Yeah, that's putting some of the symptoms that I have experienced so far over the years. So it's when I grew older, I was like, oh, so this was the symptoms of POI, but I
No
had no
idea.
idea. I had no idea.
Yeah. So
I had no idea.
once you got diagnosed,
Yeah,
then sort of what happened? What I mean, that's as you said before, you're sitting in a room with four people who tell you you've got something you've probably never even heard of, and then they tell you you can't have children. So that is a huge amount to
yeah.
digest. So let's start with that first. How did you work your way through that?
Well, when I was initially told, I remember I just started crying. Like, the reason for that is because I can't have children. That's one of the main reasons. Everything else, I didn't really know what was going on. I started crying, and I remember that very day, I ended up taking a taxi home because I just could not commute on public transport because there was so much emotions that was just going on. So when I got home that very day, I locked myself in my room. I didn't really have much interaction with anybody that day because I just wanted to be alone and just be by myself. So I locked myself in the room. I cried for days, and nobody knew at this stage what has happened. So after that, the families that I have here in Ireland I'm much closer to. I then, told them about it, that look, I have what's called premature ovarian failure, and I can't have kids. So basically, they said I'm going through menopause. So after that, I went back into the gyno, and then they started me on HRT. So I went straight on HRT actually. And over the years, I never really allowed myself to think about it because I didn't really want to. I can say I had so much of my own personal kind of trauma going on at that young age as well. So trying to put that together with this POI diagnosed was just too much for me. So I kind of just blocked it out. So I really did not deal with it over the years. And I can definitely say that had a huge impact on my mental health.
I can
So
imagine.
yeah,
Yeah.
it did big
When
time. Yeah.
when you told the sort of extended family group,
Yeah.
was it something that they did they know anything about it? How did they react? Did they understand what was going
Uh,
on?
yeah, they definitely find out their own information, but they never heard of POI before. So they definitely did their own research and everything. And I can say that maybe they sympathize with me as well for sure. And that was pretty much it. I talked about it when I wanted to, but when I didn't want to, I really did not want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So I really never brought it up. So I think I just kind of just closed the door on it. And so nobody really brought it up then. Probably they didn't bring it up either because they didn't want to be insensitive unless I brought it up. So so when I got to the point where I was ready to tell like my mom and everything like that, it took a few years for me to tell my mother. It wasn't something I told her instantly. So it took a while for me to tell her. When I did, she's a traditional African woman. So she didn't really understand when I told her, but I did tell her that there is a potential that I might not be able to have children. And if I make a decision that I don't even like, the decision is I might not be able to have kids for you in the future. And in coming from the African background where I come from, there's this infertility is such a huge taboo. Like no one ever talks about it. It's like growing up is not something I ever heard of. Infertility, like it's nothing I ever heard of. So it's a huge taboo. No one talks about it. So the idea is you go to school, you get a degree, you get married, and then you have kids, and then that's the. But when I told her, she didn't really understand. I don't think she didn't understand. Even up till now, she still does not understand. So, but there was a time when she was constantly like, "Oh, when are you having kids? When are you?" So I have to really kind of be firm with her and tell her, "Look, I need you to stop asking me because it just got way too much." So I kind of put her in that place. So she doesn't really bring it up that much anymore, but she still does not understand like fully what I'm going through on a daily basis. So
Yeah.
I don't think anyone like if I don't think people fully do understand POI unless you're kind of experiencing it yourself. You're going through it. They can sympathize with you and they can try and learn about it, but they can't fully understand like what individuals with POI are really going through. So
So in her
that's
mind, does she kind of think, well, does she think that you've made a decision that you don't want children, or does she think that a miracle will happen and you will be delivered one?
she thinks a miracle will happen for sure.
Which is
So
nice.
there is a miracle. There's a 5 to 10 chance of getting pregnant. Sometimes, if I think even POI sometimes kind of interfere with my speech as well too. So she believes that there will be a miracle baby, but again, I have to make it aware to her that this is my life. It's whatever decision I make, it's gonna be my decision. But I'm also happy that she has other kids as well too. She has other kids, so she has girls who can potentially give her the grandchildren that she wants in the future without the pressure being on me too much then.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And so you said you didn't want to talk about it for a very long period of time, but now
yeah.
you are officially out, for want of a better way of putting it. So what made you decide to sort of to come out and share your experience?
So for the longest time, like I said already, I dealt with a lot of emotional trauma, and I think I started coming out really in my late 20s. So that's when I was like, I kind of want to get to know, to see there's more people out there because like I said, I felt alone for a long time. Like I felt like I was alone on this and no one else around understood and no one else was going through this. So, but I wanted to really get to see those other people out there that I can chat with, talk to, and just to um, interact with other women. So I remember when I had this discussion with one of my family members. She came across a network called the Daisy Network. And my first event was in 2019 when I actually went to the event in London. And when I got there were so many other women out there, and they were like, I have POI. And I talked to a lot of people, they've had POI for like 15 years, 10 years, 20 years. I was like, wow. So there are actually people out there who are going through the same thing as me. So I'm definitely not alone. And then I was like, you know what? I'm in a place, and I think it took time as well. It took like a progress for me to get to a place where I felt comfortable to be able to come out and share my story and raise awareness through my own experience. So after that visit with the event, I came home and I really had a seat. I was like, okay, what is my purpose? What's my purpose in life? What would I like to do? I've been meaning to talk about my story for a long time. Maybe this is what I should get into and just do it. Try and raise an awareness through my experience, and just to let other people out there know that they're not alone, especially in the African community. There's a lot of women that are going through infertility, that is through POI or any other cause, and they don't really talk about it. And I never knew any other Black person as well that was going through POI until I started my page, until I found my page, until I started talking about it. And that's when I came across other people who are going through the same thing. Some people are still not comfortable enough coming up publicly to talk about it, but me being in the front and representing through my own experience helps other people know that they're definitely not alone. There are other people out there who are going through the same thing that they can talk to and they can relate to.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
And
one of the reasons.
I mean, I guess one of the things, so you're obviously living here in Ireland or in the UK, there is a lot of
Yeah,
information available to people if you go out there. And you know, we're much more vocal at talking about things. You know, these days
yeah.
we can actually say vagina out loud and those kinds of things. But in back home, are you focusing your attention more than there so you can raise awareness for people who are more sort of deprived of information, for want of a better word, or access to information?
Um, I'm I'm raising awareness right now. When I found my page, my main goal and purpose was to just connect with women, like all women who are going through POI, to chat and everything. So, and I've been doing that for a year now. But what I would like to do is to keep raising awareness for all women, but also to, just to be, I want it to also be a light for African Black women to know that, okay, there is someone there who is also the same tone as me from Africa who's going through the same thing. So I'm not alone, because a lot of them don't talk about it. Just as big,
Mm.
they don't talk about it. They don't want to talk about infertility. Anything infertility is like, no, we're not going to talk about it. We're just going to close that and just leave it there. And a lot of people suffer through infertility. A lot of them do, and they're just so silent, because some of them can have children for years and they get punished for that because they get shamed for it,
Mm.
and they themselves don't understand the reason why they can't have children. So yeah, so it's a way to represent for all women, but especially for the African community.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah,
mean, I think, across all cultures, actually, we do tend to be
yeah,
incredibly judgmental when it comes to people who
that's
don't
it.
have children. We always
Yeah,
say, why didn't they have children?
exactly.
It's
What's wrong with
nobody's
you?
business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's wrong with you? Why can't you have kids? Even up till now, I still get some family members like, oh, when are you gonna have kids? I was like, oh, we see. God's time is the best. Oh, now come on, you're not getting any older. It's like, I already told you guys, I have this condition. It's as if they forget, and it just gets out of their mind, and they're constantly asking. And like, sometimes you try to be nice, but sometimes you just have to kind of tell them it's enough. You need to just stop now and just leave it there. So yeah, so it takes time. Yeah,
Yeah, true, it does.
yeah,
I mean, I have one child, and I even have people
yeah.
saying to me things like, well, why did you only have one? What, was there something wrong
See,
with you? It's like,
it's like,
I don't know, it just worked out that way.
I know, it's like one is not even enough anymore. You're expected to have like the loads of kids and just have them there. It's like, you know, it's society. It's just too much pressure from society, and then again, you have pressure from like the environment you come from. It's too much pressure on women just to have kids. If you don't want to, I feel like it's your choice, not to. And
Yeah.
so yeah.
True. And I guess, I mean, as you've probably discovered now, because you've learned an awful lot about your condition, and this is probably one of the most important things about this, apart from, dealing with the mental health side of it, is the physical health side of it. So you did get HRT after 4 years. So I guess, explaining to people how important HRT is for your long-term health is
Yeah,
also an important thing from your side.
it is. So that's why HRT, hormone replacement therapy, is what I take is estrogen and progesterone. So because I started menopause at the age of 19, and like POI as well can affect someone as young as 12 can go through POI. So it means they're lacking estrogen. So their body is not producing enough estrogen that's required. And so it affects infertility, affects emotional, physical, and psychological health. So that's why we need that estrogen to help us to protect our bones, our heart, and our mind. So, and also progesterone as well helps protect the lining of the womb. So if you still have a uterus, you need to make sure you're on progesterone. It helps protect that lining. And so that's why it's very important I know some people don't want to go on HRT because there is this misconception out there about HRT. So, but it's very, very important that, if you have POI, to make sure that you're taking treatment in addition to your supplements as well too, because you need to be on calcium and vitamin D, which is important. So that's why when it comes to the mental health, that's why I've learned that, apart from just the infertility, the mental aspect of things is also very important. So they both need to be equal to be able to just take care of yourself
Yeah.
personally.
So,
Yeah.
so have you found that there are people with POI who are thinking that they don't need the estrogen, that they'll go without it?
Yeah, there are people that don't take HRT. So some people go the natural route. They try and try and get their estrogen through that way. And over the years, they come back with like bone issues and everything because
Mm.
they're not getting enough estrogen to protect their bones. And then they go on HRT. So I think it needs to be highlighted just how important treatment is. If not HRT, any other treatment that you need to go on, that you need to be getting enough estrogen just to make sure you're getting enough to protect your bones
Yeah.
mainly.
Did you actually,
Yeah.
speaking of that, in that period of time, sort of between 15 and 19, when you were diagnosed, did they send you off actually afterwards to have a DEXA scan to look at the condition of your bones?
Yes, I did. I had a scan earlier on when I was diagnosed to have a look at my bones, and my bones were a bit thin. So instantly, I went on HRT patch, which was my first initial HRT, and they gave me a supplement straight away that has calcium and vitamin D. So I've been taking both consistently for the past 11 years. So one of the things I wanted to highlight is that when I was diagnosed, the lack of information that was provided, and also the fact that I was just kind of left alone to kind of deal with things on my own, because I had to be my own personal healthcare provider for a long time. I had to do my own research into what POI is, into HRT, because I didn't know the kind of side effect or what to expect from HRT, or how much POI affects your mental health. So
Mm.
I had to do a lot of those research myself because I was just kind of left out there
Really? So,
alone.
so
So
they
that's
didn't
one of
sort
the
of say
reasons.
to you,
Yeah,
this is what
exactly.
you've got, Anita, darling. Here's a list of references. Here's a support
Nothing.
group contact. Nothing. It was just sort of like, this is your lot. Take your
Nothing. It was just
prescription and
there.
off you go.
No, that's it. Nothing. No resources to say go there and read this. No, nothing. Go and read this place to learn more. Like it was nothing. I was just like, and then you just start HRT. You're taking HRT, and then you start getting all the same things. So tender breast and everything. You wonder, why is my breast so tender? Why am I? You don't know what's going on because you're not educated that this is what you expect, unless you have the initiative to start doing your own research, or you're interested to do your own research. But for me, for a long time, I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to think about it. So I really didn't do much research into what PY is or HRT. I was just taking what was given to me because I just was like, no. It's when I started doing my own research, I was learning more about it. So that's one of the reasons so important that we're raising awareness with other PY ladies out there just to help us ourselves to get better treatment, and also to help the younger people that are getting diagnosed each
True,
day.
exactly. And
So
speaking
yeah,
of that, premature menopause 14 here, so she knows how you feel. I'm guessing you two have been in contact at some stage.
probably. I'm sure we have.
I mean, because I would have, I don't know. I mean, I would have thought that the Daisy Network would have had things that they send out to GP practices or whatever, or and gynecologists, and they would be there in the drawer, ready to be handed out. But if not, maybe there's something that can be done in terms of information packs that.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot has changed as well too. There's more like awareness out there now compared to when I was diagnosed 10 years ago. There wasn't a lot of awareness, but there's more now. There's a lot of women who are coming out, speaking up and advocating for better treatment, better health, better information. So which is great. There's still a lot that needs to be done, but it's just gradually each step each day. So yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned the mental health side of it there. So what did you
Yeah.
do to actually sort of help yourself? How did you go from being locked in your room to actually being able to talk about this?
Ooh, took a long time. A long process. It took a long time. I remember sometimes when I'm having discussions with my friend, we kind of just remember a lot of, a lot of like emotional trauma that has happened. I remember there was a time I just could not understand myself. Like I would be on the street and people would just say hi to me. It's like I feel like just eating them. I'm like, why are you talking to me? Why? Because
I feel like
I
that most of the time.
so I just didn't understand what was going on. So there was a lot of emotion. So it really took time. I think for me, it was more like I really had to kind of, and I've said this so many times, I really had to kind of sit down and have a conversation with myself and like really understand what is going on. And when I started doing research into like POI, started like symptoms of POI, started seeing mood swings and all these little things. I was like, okay, now I understand why I'm feeling this way. And just doing your own research, and also kind of for me is self acceptance. So I really had to dig into myself, have conversation with myself, and like, okay, self acceptance. I need to accept like I'm going through this condition, and I can't change it. It is what it is. It's happened, and I don't really understand the cause of it, but I need to do what I need to do to take care of myself. I learned about mental health by doing my own research. It wasn't something that was said to me that you need to look after your mental, you need to exercise regularly. That was not the information that was provided for me from the get-go. So it was something I had to learn myself. But luckily enough, I was very active from a young age. So I was always very active. So I like to walking, jogging, and so I got into lifting weights, not heavy weights, not just like weights enough, just to so got into lifting some weights. And self-care. Over the years, I've learned that self-care is very important, like creating time for yourself. And yeah, I was some things that I'm forgetting now, so I'm going to look down just to
That's all
make
right.
sure I say everything, because brain fog.
Yeah, that's all right.
So yeah, so keeping
Avanda
active.
Starin is saying, so while you're looking there, Avanda Starin is saying she's so sorry to hear that you've gone through this, and she's very happy that you're doing work yourself in the with the work you're doing now with the community, which is very nice.
Yes, that's Ava. So she's one of the that's Ava. So we've connected already. So she's one of part of the community. Yeah.
There you go. Hello, Ava.
So in terms of maintaining my mental health, I try to keep active regularly. So I like to do a variety of exercises, yoga, Pilates, lifting weights, eating a balanced meal. So that's something I'm very strong about now, trying to eat a balanced meal each day to make sure I have calcium. Taking my supplement, taking my HROT, which is very important. And just general self-care method, like I like lighting candles, essential oils is something I've got into lately. So I'm still like researching and finding new ways to care for myself. But these are just some of the things I do. Listening to music, dancing, finding ways to express myself. It's very important to me. So yeah, so those are some of the things that I do just to care for my mental health. And, and I think everybody has to kind of find something that works for them. I
Yeah.
wasn't much of a person who liked to journal, but I've actually gotten into that now as I've grown older. So I've gone into like journaling and writing things down and everything. So that also helps me greatly. So
Yeah, I guess the other big thing to tackle, I suppose, apart from friends and family and social mores and how people are viewed, is relationships. How do you handle that when you? I don't know what your personal relationship is, but
yeah.
is this something that you've had to sort of to tackle and explain to people?
Yeah, relationship. With my first relationship that I had, um, how did I don't even remember how I told him, but I know it was a conversation that we had. I was in my 20s, my early 20s. So he was obviously in his late 30s, mid 30s, late 30s. So he was much more older than me. So he was ready to kind of have kids, like I think like first year into the relationship, like he was ready for kids, and we're just having that conversation. And I think that's when I brought it up. Then like, look, I can't have kids. This is what I'm going through. I'm going through something computer. I can't have kids. And also because I was much younger then, I was still trying to discover myself, who I am, who I was as a person. So I wasn't ready either way. So it was tough at that age to tell somebody that you're going. It was really tough, but I was trying to be very upfront and honest. So I always try to be upfront and honest. So that was kind of what, after that conversation, after we had that, he was very understanding. He was willing to go for like second options in the States and other country and things like that. But we kind of ended the relationship after a while because we went on our own ways. Yeah, so we just kind of parted. But since then with other relationships that I have, I don't think they've stuck around enough to get to know me for me to tell them that I'm going through this. So it's kind of just being depending on how the relationship is going and how just see how things are going. That kind of allows me then to say, okay, I feel like you're ready to know what I'm going through, what's going on. But if not, I don't really, yeah. But now that I'm on social media,
Everybody
whenever I'm
knows.
everybody knows my face is right there, so no more hiding it. So now that I'm on social media, whenever I do go on dates and chat with people, what I do now is I just give them my YouTube link. I'm like, there, go watch those videos. If you want to get to know me a little bit, go watch the video. And they're interested, they'll go watch the videos. And if they have more questions, they come to me and I can educate them. And then that's it. So that way I'm not really like, okay, I'm leading people on, or I feel like I'm wasting someone's time or someone is wasting my time. So that's what I pretty much do now.
Yeah, sort of sit down,
So
cup of
yeah,
coffee. Hi, I'm Anita. Here's my
that's
YouTube.
it. And I
Okay,
feel
now
like,
kids, off you go.
yeah. So for someone that don't have, of course, that's not out there on social media or have YouTube channel or whatever, if you're dating someone for the first time or you're in a relationship and you haven't told them that you have POI. For me, I feel like it depends two ways. Just see how the relationship is going. See how you and that person have vibing. Do you feel like there's a connection? Do you feel like you can get more from that relationship? Is it going somewhere? Then that can kind of tell you to then sit the person down and have a conversation with them and let them know as well. And because sometimes you don't want to instantly just tell somebody and then feel like you get rejected because of, you know what I mean, because of what you're going on. So you need to protect your emotions and your feelings and your heart. So just see how it goes before you actually kind of open up to that. Make sure they are worth it. Make sure they are worth knowing more about you. So before you
Mm.
actually just kind of, that's me, that's what I think. So it's kind of up to individuals and what they want to do. The other day I was watching a show called I think it's a show that has to do with dating. It was a while ago, and there was a called first date. So this lady, she also have premature menopause, and she was kind of a very huge inspiration because on our first date, she went and told the guys like, "Look, I'm going through premature menopause. It means I can't have kids." On the first date, I was like, "Oh wow, that's very brave of her to do that, and that's great." So whatever you feel like it's best for you, it's what you know. what you do. Oh yeah,
Yeah, and there are so many sort of different options now for
that's it.
adoption
Yeah,
and surrogacy and all these sorts of other
yeah.
bits and pieces, donor eggs and things. There are options out there, and actually, is that something that you've explored yourself, and is it something you talk about with when you're raising awareness? If people ask, well, what are my options when it comes to having children, or is that sort of something you're still heading towards?
For me, it's something that I've actually had a deep conversation about with myself with is adoption. So adoption is where I really see myself going. But sometimes I do always say to myself, life is what happened when you're busy making other plans. So you never really know. But for me, I'm very firm on adoption. Adoption is the route that I want to go to adopt a child. So there's many other routes. Some people can go through IVF, egg donor, and whatever works. But for me, adoption is where I kind of see myself there. I've planned that adoption is where I want to go. But we never know what happens in the next 5 or 10 years. So we just kind of
True.
have to see. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Brilliant. Is there anything in particular that you sort of a key message you'd like to get to people to drive home, and
Let's
where they
see.
can find you and what they can contact you about?
Yes, of course. So, like I said, my name is Anita. I'm the founder of Blossom Living with POI. So, Blossom Living with POI is where I share my experience about POI, and also just to help other women. So, one of the things that I do want to aim for and put myself out there for now in terms of raising POI is in the workplace. So, because I started working since the age of 19, and menopause is associated with women who are like 51 or 52 in their 50s. So you wouldn't think you wouldn't think that someone as young as 12 or 19 or 16 or 25, 30 will be going through menopause. So breaking the stigma in the workplace is one of the things that it's so important that needs to be done to educate employees and the company that menopause affects someone as young as 12. So if you have someone in the workplace, is there enough support in the workplace for that individual to get enough support? Is there an employee support system in there to
Mm.
help them with what they're going through? So, and also for those that don't know what POI is, POI, Premature Ovarian Insufficiency, also called Premature Ovarian Failure, is what happens when the ovary stop functioning and the ovaries don't produce enough estrogen or release eggs, and that causes to then lead to infertility. So I don't think there's anything else I would like to add.
Yeah,
I'm just
I
looking
get.
down on my
There
notes.
are there are various groups that advocate for menopause in the workplace, and also
Yeah,
Diane Danzebrink would probably be. I'm sure have you heard of Diane Danzebrink? She
I think I
does.
have. I think I'm actually following them. Yeah, I've heard
She's
of them.
she's the way she campaigned for getting menopause education into the school curriculum. As yet, we don't know exactly what that curriculum is going to look like, but it might be
Okay.
worth getting in touch with her too, just to make sure that if it is going to be in the school curriculum, that is also covered, because that's probably a very, very important place for it to be too.
It is. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. Because even at my workplace now, I don't know if anyone, I remember the first time I told someone at work, and they were surprised, like, what? That's not right. I was like, yeah. They would like, and she's like, if you have not told me and explained to me what it is and someone else did, I would have laughed and be like, oh, come on, you don't know what you're talking about. Someone as young as that age I was like, yeah. So that's to show that there's a lot of more work that needs to be done in school and in workplace to increase awareness about what is going on,
Mm.
because it's not easy working or schooling with while living with premature ovarian insufficiency. So it's not. So it's there's a lot that needs to be done, and a lot is being done. So yeah,
Yeah, true. And also, I mean, obviously, there needs also then, I guess, for teachers to be well educated so they can spot it
yeah,
as well and work out, why this child has, suddenly developed problems with concentration and
problems.
memory,
Yeah,
and seems to be, not with us when they should, or whatever else, has become suspiciously more moody than they were before.
yeah. Also, a lot of people get associate like, oh, maybe that person is going through puberty. That's why they're so moody, but it's
Mm.
not always the case as well. So, and I feel like also the best way to kind of educate and raise awareness in the workplace is with people who are actually going through the condition themselves to be able to come forward in workplace to educate as well, because then they can able to educate more with their experience and that way. So like everybody that is doing the work right now in terms of raising awareness in the workplace, in the school, they're doing amazing work, but a lot still needs to be definitely be done in the aspect of that. So yeah.
Yeah.
But it takes time gradually. Yeah. I'm just looking down to see if there's anything else. I don't have anything else that I would like to add. I think that's pretty much it. Unless
Mm.
anybody has any questions or anything like that.
Yeah,
Or
I wonder actually
for
if it is if anybody, if you do ever speak to Premature Menopause 14 or whatever, who's also advocating very a lot as well, and if anybody thinks that then it would be useful to pull together some sort of leaflety pamphletty thing, I'm more than
yes.
happy to help write or edit it. I would put my
Okay.
hand up for that.
That's good.
So
Perfect. That's good to know.
just check my
That's
spelling though. I can't spell.
yeah. I do know that recently, I can't remember the name now. There was a leaflet that was written for women going through menopause through induced by chemo or anything like that. So
Surgical
I know there was a leaflet.
menopause.
Yes, yeah, I think it was Elisa. I can't remember the name. So she created a leaflet recently on that, and that was I was like, wow, that is amazing. Bravo to her. So that's something that's kind of needed in the community of women who are going through POI through other, idiopathic or autoimmune condition as well too. So we need something like that within the community. But you know what? Like I said, gradually, yes, that's her name. Yeah,
Ellie, yeah.
yeah, Ellie. Yes, Ellie. Yeah. So, mm, so yeah, I really do appreciate you having me here today and to share my experience.
I'm so
And
glad you did. Thank you.
yeah, thank you. No problem.
Yeah.
And if anybody want to reach out and just to have a conversation, I'm more than happy to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. It was really
Thank you
lovely.
so much.
And yeah, I will talk to you soon, and I will also talk to Premature Menopause, and maybe we should get something together if we can. That would be a useful thing to get together and send out somehow. We'll talk.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Let me
All
know.
right.
Take care. Talk to you later.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye,
Bye.
guys. Bye.